You know those picture-perfect suburbs where every blade of grass stands at attention like it's auditioning for the military? Welcome to Willow Creek, HOA, where the rules aren't suggestions. They're commandments handed down from on high by President Barb Whitaker, the reigning queen of beige, everything in passive-aggressive clipboard notes. Sophia Reed had played the game perfectly for years. She kept her welcome mat the exact approved shade of neutral taupe, trimmed her hedges to the millimeter, and never once let her kids leave a bike on the driveway past sunset. Because in Willow Creek, one rogue dandelion could cost you $200 and a public shaming post in the neighborhood Facebook group. The annual Community Builder Awards night was supposed to be the highlight of the year. White tents fluttered under the Idaho sun. Folding chairs arranged in perfect rows on the community green, and a banner that read, "Celebrating those who show up," in gold script that probably cost more than most residents' monthly dues. Sophia stood backstage in her best navy dress, tassel from a recent promotion pinned to her lapel like a medal. She'd been named Resident of the Year for exemplary compliance and community spirit, whatever that meant when the real work was done by people no one ever thanked. Barb sat front row, legs crossed, lipstick fresh, looking like she'd invented the concept of perfection. Next to her, her husband Everett, HOA vice president, wore a name tag that might as well have said father of the neighborhood. Sophia scanned the crowd. In the very back row, on a chair with no label, sat Elias Grant, her real father. The man the HOA had quietly pushed out years ago for repeated rule challenges. No one spoke to him. No one even glanced his way. He wasn't on the seating chart. Of course he wasn't. When they called her name, Sophia walked out to polite applause that felt more like a scripted golf clap. Everett stood first, clapping loudest, flashing that practiced proud dad smile. Barb dabbed at her, like she'd rehearsed it in the mirror. Sophia took the mic, throat tight but voice steady. "Tonight isn't just about awards," she began. "It's about the people who showed up, the ones who drove the quiet projects, fixed what broke when no one was looking, the ones who made sure we all felt supported, even on the Tuesdays no one posted about." She turned squarely to Everett, to the man who taught me consistency, who handled every late fee, every special assessment, every little thing, so I didn't have to worry. "Thank you, Dad." Everett clutched his chest. Barb beamed like the whole neighborhood owed her royalties. The applause rolled in strong and steady. Then came a different clap, slower, deeper, unwavering. Elias stood alone in the back, clapping like the words had been written for him. His smile wasn't bitter. It was peaceful, almost proud. Sophia froze mid-breath. The cameras caught it all. After the ceremony, photos with Everett flooded the group chat. "Dad of the Year," people typed. Sophia smiled through it, but something pinched in her chest like a sock bunched in a shoe. Elias waited until the crowd thinned. He didn't approach. He just stood by the photo wall, staring at an old shot of the community playground. He snapped a quiet picture with his phone and slipped away. The next morning, Sophia's phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Next door notifications, HOA Facebook tags, even a TikTok link from a neighbor's kid. The caption, "This is wild." Dude really thought the speech was for him. The clip zoomed in on Elias clapping alone while Sophia pointed at Everett. Comments poured in like cheap wine at a block party. Delusional grandpa vibes. She clearly meant Barb's husband. "This is actually so sad." It hit 10,000 views overnight. At brunch with friends at the diner off Fairview, they replayed it on loop. "Your mom totally owned that moment," one laughed. Sophia stirred her coffee. Smile stuck like a decal. Was it funny? Or was it just cruel? By afternoon, the hashtags were trending locally. HOA clap fail and wrong dad energy. But then the tide shifted. One comment stopped her scrolling cold. "Wait, that guy in the back. Isn't that Elias Grant? The one who actually built the playground before Barb took credit?" Sophia replayed the video. this time watching only Elias. He stood like a man who'd waited years for those words to land. And, for the first time, she didn't laugh. She didn't blink. She just felt the sock slip a little deeper. Later that afternoon, she hunted for leftover ribbon in the garage. Barb's territory, shelves of label boxes, everything pristine. Sophia climbed over holiday tubs and spotted a faded box wedged behind an old lawnmower, old HOA files. She figured spelling tests or old minutes. Wrong. Dust billowed as she lifted the lid. Inside, envelopes tied with twine, handwriting she hadn't seen in 15 years. Elias's clean slant. Her heart didn't race. It clenched. Sophia sat right there on the concrete floor, legs crossed like she was 8 again, and untied the bundle. The first letter dated back to the summer she bought her house in Willow Creek. Elias wrote how proud he was she'd closed on the property, how he'd quietly paid the first special assessment when the roof needed replacing after that freak hailstorm. Clipped to it, a photo of him in work gloves, installing the community security cameras at 2 a.m. so no one would question the budget. Where did he even get these shots? Letter after letter followed, 13 in total. Some were simple notes. Heard you fought the new flag rule. Keep pushing. Others included receipts, donations to the playground fund, checks made out to the HOA for the new sidewalks Barb later bragged about in the newsletter as my initiative. One from 3 years ago mentioned the exact amount he'd wired to cover Sophia's late dues when she was between jobs. Don't worry, he'd written. I handled it quietly. No need for thanks. A pressed flower from the community garden he'd planted in secret after Barb vetoed the proposal because purple violets are disruptive to curb appeal. Sophia's mom, Barb, had always said Elias forgot birthdays, abandoned the community, couldn't be bothered. Turns out she'd been intercepting every letter, every appeal, every donation receipt. The HOA president rewriting family history the same way she rewrote meeting minutes. Sophia didn't cry yet. She just photographed each page, created a folder on her phone called The Missing Years, and kept reading until her legs cramped. By evening, the box sat open on the dining table. She'd organized everything by date. The last envelope was thicker. Inside, a printed photo of Sophia standing beside the new playground equipment, taken from behind the chain-link fence. Elias blurry in the background, sunglasses on, watching. The date matched the day Barb had posted on Facebook, proud to lead another successful project for our families. No mention of the man who'd actually written the checks. Sophia whispered to the empty kitchen, "You showed up. You always did." Then the cold fury settled in, not explosive, just precise. What happens when your whole neighborhood identity is built on an absence that was never real? She didn't storm anywhere. She simply opened her laptop and started comparing. First, the community newsletter from last year. The article about the new park benches. President Barb Whitaker's vision and generous leadership made this possible. Original draft in the box. Elias's proposal email from 2 years earlier, complete with cost breakdown he'd covered personally. Barb had simply deleted his name and inserted her own. Next, the meeting minutes. Page after page where Elias's name appeared in the original draft Sophia found, proposing fixes for the flooding issue, suggesting the security upgrade, now replaced with Barb Whitaker moved to approve and unanimous thanks to our president. It wasn't editing. It was erasure with a gavel. Sophia's own resident spotlight bio in the HOA yearbook had been rewritten too. The paragraph she'd submitted mentioning the quiet support that made my home possible now read, thanks to the steady guidance of President Barb Whitaker and VP Everett. Her mother had suggested the changes for clarity. That night, Sophia texted Barb, "Were you ever going to tell me about the letters?" No reply. Instead, Everett sent a group chat photo of the two of them at the gala with the caption, so proud to be the parent she deserves. Sophia removed the tag and went back to the table. The next morning she dug deeper. The file cabinet in the hallway, Barb's sacred territory. Sophia claimed she needed an old tax form for her property records. Tucked between insurance papers, a 529-style community improvement fund statement addressed to Elias Grant. The money had been growing since Sophia moved in, covering everything the HOA budget conveniently forgot. Barb's digital red ink was everywhere. Make it about my leadership instead. Sophia walked into the kitchen where Barb and Everett were making coffee like nothing had changed. She laid the fund statement between them. You made me thank the wrong people. You hid his donations. You edited every record so the neighborhood thinks you built what he paid for. Barb didn't flinch outwardly. Althea, dear, you were too young to understand politics. I did what was best for the community. Sophia's voice stayed calm. No, you did what was best for your presidency. You weren't protecting the neighborhood. You were rewriting it. Everett cleared his throat. It's complicated. It's printed right here. His name, not yours. The silence after that was louder than any gavel. Sophia left them standing there and went upstairs. She dialed Elias. 3 rings. Voicemail. She didn't leave a message. Just whispered, I think I found your version of the truth. By noon, the garage box had company, printed copies of the edited minutes, the fund statement, the letters. Sophia added sticky notes like an autopsy, original donor, erased contribution, Barb's credit grab. She wasn't posting yet. She was building a case. That evening, the HOA Facebook group lit up again. Someone had reposted the gala clip with new context. Wait, is that Elias Grant? The guy who actually paid for the playground before Barb claimed it. The tide was turning. Comments shifted from mockery to now, I feel kind of bad. Sophia watched the numbers climb and felt the first real smile in days. But Barb wasn't done. She posted her own update. Grateful for the support of my family and the community I've dedicated my life to building. Sophia stared at the screen. Building or stealing? The following morning, Sophia opened her laptop with cold coffee and purpose. She pulled the original draft of her Resident of the Year bio, the one she'd written before Barb helped edit it. The paragraph praising the man who stood in the shadows but never disappeared had been replaced with glowing lines about Everett's drop-off support and Barb's unwavering leadership. Sophia printed both versions and laid them side by side next to the gala album Everett had proudly displayed on the counter. His post already had 2,000 likes, so proud to be the father she deserves. She flipped through the album slowly. Every photo of the playground dedication had Elias cropped out. The blurry figure in the background, who'd actually swung the hammer, gone, replaced by zoomed-in shots of Barb cutting the ribbon. Sophia took screenshots, emailed them to herself with the subject proof of memory, and kept going. Next, she opened the community financial portal, something residents rarely bothered with. A quick search confirmed what the hidden file had hinted. Every major special assessment for the last decade had a silent co-guarantor. Not Everett. Elias Grant. He'd signed for the security system upgrade, the stormwater fixes, even Sophia's own property drainage repair when the HOA couldn't find budget. Barb had let everyone believe Everett handled it. Sophia didn't rage. She walked calmly into the kitchen and dropped the printed statements on the counter. So who wants to explain why you let me thank Everett when this was all Dad? Barb froze mid-stir of her oatmeal. Everett cleared his throat. It's complicated. No, it's right here in black and white. His signature. His money. Your credit. Barb tried the concerned mom voice. We didn't want to confuse the neighborhood during election season. Elias has history. Sophia's laugh came out sharp. History of paying for everything you claim as your legacy? Yeah, I see that. She went back upstairs and opened a new folder. What they did. She dragged in the letters. The edited bios. The financial proofs. Not for drama, for record. Then she called an old friend who still worked at the local credit union. "I need you to look something up." Hours later, the callback confirmed. Everett had tried to open a line of credit in Sophia's name using Elias's information as collateral. When payments defaulted, he'd quietly closed it before it hit anyone's record. "Borrowed identity and trust," her friend whispered. That night, Sophia made a quiet recording of her own, Barb on speaker, while she replayed the gala clip. "As long as the neighborhood thinks Everett and I handled it all, things stay clean." Barb laughed on the old voicemail Sophia had saved. Everett's voice followed. He signed it. "We just let the system assume it was us. No lies, just good timing." Sophia dragged the audio file into the folder. Closure wasn't a feeling anymore. It was a file type. The next day, a courier knocked with a thick white envelope. No return address. Inside, a drafted community harmony agreement. 6 pages of legalese about mutual confidentiality regarding past financial understandings. A cover note from Everett. "Let's protect what's left." Sophia read it once, then sat on the kitchen table like a dare. She made tea, washed dishes, vacuumed, anything to let the smug paper sit there. Eventually, she opened her laptop at the corner coffee shop, oat milk latte in hand, and reopened her original bio draft. She added one line: "Some legacies don't need spotlights. They survive because they were built in the quiet." Then she published it on the local community blog under the version I meant to submit. It spread faster than a violation notice. Former neighbors commented with heart emojis and paragraphs about integrity. One even tagged the HOA board. Barb texted, "You're humiliating us." Sophia typed back, "No, I'm liberating the truth." Everett followed up, "You've ruined the community I built." Sophia didn't answer. It wasn't a community. It was a brand. And she was done being the product. That evening, Elias emailed. No subject. Just 4 words. I read it. "Proud of you." Sophia exhaled like she'd been holding her breath since the gala. The garage box now had company. Printed slideshow frames from the HOA yearbook. The financial documents. The before and after edits. She lined them up like puzzle pieces finally clicking. A friend stopped by with takeout and spotted the growing evidence wall. "That looks serious," he said. Sophia nodded. "It's from my dad, the one no one posted about." The next morning, Barb's text arrived. "I heard you visited your father. I hope this isn't going to be a public embarrassment." Sophia didn't reply. Instead, she opened the HOA Facebook group and wrote a simple post. "Sometimes the people who build the community aren't the ones who stand at the podium. Sometimes they're the ones in the corner of every frame you cropped out." She attached the old playground photo with Elias clearly visible in the background. By dinner, it had 3,000 shares. Teachers from the community center commented. Old friends messaged. Distant relatives liked it. Some defended Barb. Most didn't. Later, Everett texted, "Was this really necessary?" Sophia took her time. "It always was. You just didn't think I'd ever have receipts." An hour later, a courier knocked again. Same thick envelope style, but this one contained the final version of the Community Harmony Agreement with an added clause about reputational protection. Sophia didn't read past page 2. She grabbed her laptop, walked to the coffee shop, and sat by the window. She reopened the original speech draft and added the receipts one by one into a carousel post she'd been building in secret. First slide, cropped gala photo with Elias's clap highlighted. Second, screenshot of the donation fund under his name. Third, side-by-side edited newsletter pages, Elias's proposal versus Barb's vision. Fourth, the audio waveform of Barb's own words admitting the cover-up. Caption, visibility matters. Some support systems are quiet by design, but no less real. She hit post on both Nextdoor and the HOA group and closed the app. By midnight, it had over 5,000 shares. Former board members commented. Old residents who'd been fined into silence started tagging friends. The tone shifted from gossip to outrage. Wait, Barb took credit for the playground Elias paid for. How many other projects? Barb tried damage control. She posted a tearful video. As your president, I've only ever wanted what's best for Willow Creek. The comments underneath were brutal. Best for your reelection? Maybe. Sophia watched the likes drop and felt the first real satisfaction. The next day, the community board meeting was chaos. Barb tried to call it to order with her usual gavel bang, but residents waved printed copies of the carousel. Explain the financial records, someone shouted. Everett stood to defend her and got shouted down with receipts. Sophia sat in the back row, Elias's old seat, and simply watched. After the meeting, Barb cornered her in the parking lot. Voice low. You're destroying everything I built. Sophia smiled without warmth. No, I'm restoring what you stole. That night, Sophia received a message request from someone she hadn't spoken to since middle school. We all thought you were lucky to have Barb mentoring you. But I saw how your real dad stood at every event, even when they banned him from the meetings. You just never looked back. The words settled like truth instead of sting. Sophia created one final post, a black slide with white text. Some legacies don't need spotlights. They survive because they were built in the quiet. She attached the camera Elias had secretly gifted her years ago with a note. For the story only you can tell. The post exploded. The following week, the university alumni magazine, yes, Willow Creek, had won for distinguished residents, published her piece. No cap and gown photo. Just a scan of the donation receipt Elias had kept. The Q&A asked what she hoped others would take away. Sophia wrote, sometimes the real heroes are the ones you almost edited out. She never named Barb or Everett. She didn't have to. Their silence was deafening. A week later, Barb's employer, she ran a small property management side gig, reached out about financial inconsistencies. A contact told Sophia her name had come up in an internal audit. Everett quietly stepped down from the vice presidency. Barb withdrew her re-election nomination with a vague note about personal family transitions. No announcement. Just gone. Sophia posted nothing. She gave him restraint. They had given her years of erasure. That Friday, Elias came to visit. It was his first time inside her house since the ban. He looked around at the walls she'd painted, the garden he'd secretly funded, the camera still on the shelf. He didn't touch anything. Just said, you don't owe me anything. Sophia answered, I know. That's why I gave you everything. They grabbed lunch like two people who finally shared the same language. That evening, Sophia sat in front of her laptop again. But this time it wasn't to fight. It was to record the first episode of her new community page, Hidden HOA Heroes. She adjusted the mic, hit record, and began. This isn't about blame. It's about reclaiming. Because every stolen story deserves a retelling on our terms. The first episode walked through the edited minutes, the hidden letters, the financial receipts without rage. Just facts and the quiet satisfaction of truth finally breathing. Listeners flooded in. Residents from 3 neighboring HOAs started sharing their own stories of Karen presidents rewriting history. The page grew faster than any violation notice ever could. The next day, the community board sent an official email. In light of recent disclosures and confirmed records, they were withdrawing Barb's Lifetime Achievement nomination and launching a full audit of the past decade's projects. Justice didn't wear a robe. It came in plain text and spreadsheet form. Sophia didn't gloat. She didn't smile. She simply opened her laptop and typed one last email to the entire HOA listserv, BCC'd to Elias. Subject, for the record. Attached was the final, unedited version of her speech. The one Barb had never wanted the neighborhood to hear. One line at the bottom. Let's make sure the right people get credit for once. The response was electric. Residents who'd been fined into silence for years started posting their own proof. The playground fund was quietly renamed the Grant Legacy Park. The security cameras got a plaque with Elias's name. Barb's beige empire began to crack. Someone even caught her own welcome mat in the wrong shade, and tagged the group with a laughing emoji. The irony was delicious. A month later, Elias stood at the new community dedication ceremony, this time in the front row. Sophia introduced him without notes. Some people show up with checkbooks and hammers when no one's watching. Tonight we watch. The applause wasn't polite. It was thunderous. Elias clapped back, same steady rhythm from the gala night, but now the whole neighborhood clapped with him. Barb watched from the sidelines. Arms crossed. Lipstick still perfect, but smile gone. Everett stood beside her looking smaller than his polo shirt. They didn't approach. They didn't need to. The message was clear. That night, Sophia sat on her porch with Elias. The camera he'd gifted her in her lap. I never liked the rules, he said quietly. But I love the people they were supposed to protect. Sophia nodded. I'm done letting anyone edit the story. The next morning, her phone buzzed with one final text from an unknown number, probably Barb's burner. 6 words, I saw your page. Thank you. It wasn't an apology. It was understanding. Silence no longer meant distance. It meant the truth had finally won. Sophia opened the HOA app one last time. She posted a single photo. Her and Elias at the playground bench. Ice cream in hand. Timestamp visible from years ago. No caption. Just the image. The comments came in waves. Finally, the real story. Thank you for the receipts. This is why we need more voices like yours. Sophia closed the app and exhaled. In Willow Creek, the grass still had to be exactly 2 inches. The houses still had to be beige. But one resident had stopped measuring herself by their rules. And somewhere in the back row of every future ceremony, the quiet heroes would finally get their clap.